You're listening to She's the Business podcast. I'm sure if we speak to almost anyone who's been in business more than 5 minutes, one of their objectives is scaling their business. But why do so many people find it really hard to scale? Why do they get the scaling method so wrong that they end up with a business that's really, really hard to run? It's taking up way more of their time. They're working more and more and more than ever, and this scaling is going so slowly. So today I'm bringing you one of the biggest mistakes that I see out there when it comes to scaling, and also what you can do about it. So stay tuned. Hi, I'm your host, Jessica Osborne, and in my 23 years of business and marketing, I've built many brands to become multi-billion-dollar companies. And just in the last 10 years, I've built 2 online businesses of my own from my dining room table with 2 little babies running around at my feet. I've made it my mission to inspire you to get out of your own way and become the successful business owner who's living the lifestyle you really desire without all the hustle. This is She's the Business podcast, made by women for women. This is your weekly dose of motivation and inspiration. Thank you so much for joining me today. Really excited to be here, and with my weekly quick tip episode, I am going to talk a little bit about one of the biggest mistakes that I see with online businesses, online entrepreneurs, that is happening there today. And this is to do with scaling the business. You know, there's so much noise, and you only have to go onto social media and have a look at what is happening in your feed, and you just see so many people doing all of these things. And you know, it's so tempting to see an idea and be like, wow, that's awesome. That would work really well in my business. The old FOMO is happening, and to jump out there and to start thinking about it and maybe create something new and add it on. Before you know it, you've got all of these things going on in your business. But there's no real rhyme or reason to it. And then added to this, we've also got lots of really, I'd call them the noisy entrepreneurs. You know, they're out there, they're promoting stuff all the time. You know, this is my one system. It's going to help you scale your business, you know, 10x this and 20x and blah, 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 blah. You know, there's so many of those out there with their one thing. But then when you know, maybe you sign up to their program and you get sold into this system and you think, I'm going to find out what this one thing is. It's going to scale my business. But then you find it's like 100 steps, and you need a degree in IT to connect up all of the tech. And it becomes this huge, big, unwieldy thing that you're spending hours and hours and hours and hours on trying to make it happen. And usually I find, you know, people I've spoken to that have done that, it hasn't worked, because that's a system that's worked well for that person, but doesn't mean that it's going to work well for everybody else. And this is because we're coming at it way up at the wrong level in the business. We're kind of looking at the thing that's going to earn the money and jumping out there and creating it and creating more. So you're adding all of this volume and complexity and stuff to manage, and you know, heaviness. I guess your business is becoming really heavy if you go down that path. And all of a sudden, you know, you don't have the business that you had imagined when you started, which was meant to be this, you know, really great lifestyle business where you'd have heaps of free time and freedom to do what you want. And instead you've got this business that's, you know, it's grown out to this volume where you need people to help you manage it, or you're working all the time. You know, you're taking time away from your family and friends and all of the things that you kind of went into business to not be doing in the first place. You know, otherwise, why wouldn't you just go and get a job, go and work your 9 to 5 and then come home and have your free time? No, we're going to get some freedom and start a business and have more freedom of time. But by choosing this way to scale, where you're out there and you're adding more things to your business, more ways that people can buy from you, you know, more services, all of a sudden you get to this point where you're stuck and you've got nowhere to go. You can add more people to your team, sure, but this is becoming a business that's really hard work and hard to manage, time consuming. You know, there's so much going on there.
So, I really just wanted to make you, have a think about, is that something that's happening for you? Because it's something that a lot of my clients come to me with, and, where they've got to this point and they're like, I really want to reach the next revenue level. I want to get to that next level. But I just can't see how to get there. Maybe I'm not getting the right clients, or, what is it that's going on? And one of the first things I will look at is, what are you actually doing? Let's have a look at it. And there's all of these services, and they're not all serving them. They're not all profitable or profitable enough. But the key is that they haven't actually started at the beginning with a scalable business model. And this is where, I help them with my system, or I won't call it a system because it's not like a method, but this is a strategy. I'm like, let's get back to the strategy, back to the big picture. And you need a scalable business model to begin with. And then we're going to plug in the stuff that fits, and we're going to get rid of the stuff that doesn't fit. We're actually, most of the time, I help people to remove stuff from their business so that we can scale, because you need that room and that space to be able to scale. So your scalable business model, there's 4 key sections of it. 4 key ingredients, or the 4 pillars, or whatever you want to call it. This is what's in my model of a simple scalable business. First of all is your services. You need to have some scalable services. It does not do to have services that you are trading time for money. And I think we all know that one. But you need to have some kind of scalable services in there. Need to have an aligned structure. And this is the big key I think a lot of people really miss out on, is aligning their services together so that there is a clear progression for their customers through their business. So you're not spending all that time marketing and selling to get someone in, to have them leave, and then to have to be continually out there getting more and more new people in. That's not smart. That's not scalable. So that's not part of my system that I teach. Number 3 is your team. And team is so important. You can't be in a growth business if you think you're going to be doing it all yourself. Every successful business out there that has, really reached to that point where they are, what we'd look at and pin them up on the wall, the poster girl, the poster boy, and say, wow, that's a successful business. They're not doing it alone. And, we've really got to get out of that mindset that we do everything in our own business. So, a whole lot of the tactics and strategies that I help people with is looking at what they really should be doing and what they shouldn't be doing, and building a structure and a vision for the future. We're not going to go out and suddenly go from one person to a team in a day, or even if you have a team, is this the right team? Is that the right model for your business? So team, super important part of the strategy. And the 4th one is the technology and the systems that you have in place, because to scale and to make it something that's lean, efficient, and doesn't take up more of your time. We want to be doing less time in the business, not more time, but we want profits to grow. Then you do need the technology. You need technology to automate stuff, to take away manual processing, to give your clients the ability to self-service. And that is amazing, because it has the double win-win of them having a really great experience, because they don't need to rely on someone else. They don't need to make contact. They can go in there and do it themselves whenever they're ready. And that's why, you see, hey, woke up in the morning and great. I've got a client signed up overnight. There's a payment in the bank account. They've already got their welcome email. They're logged in without me doing anything because I'm asleep. That is, that's a number 1 thing where you think that's a business that's scalable. It does not need me to be there doing it. It doesn't need me or my team or somebody else to be there physically doing the things that keep the cogs turning. So, if you're spending a lot of your time, in your business, or, you've got that array of services and you've been scaling out in order to scale profits, hopefully this has got you to think a little bit differently about, well, what does it really mean to scale? And is the way that you're choosing to scale actually getting you the result with your business that you really want? And by result, I don't just mean profit. I mean, Is it serving you and your life? Is it giving you the lifestyle that you want? That's why we're all here in business in the first place, is to create a lifestyle. We're not in business to be a business. I'm sure that we didn't wake up and think that's my identity and that's who I need to be. We're doing it because we've obviously got a passion for what we do, but we want to be, probably, if you're anything like me, you want to be in control of your day, of your week, of your life, and to not have all of these rules that, when you're in a corporate environment, everything is bound by rules. That's to me one of the real beauties of why we do what we do. And also to have a bigger impact. You're in a job, and I always liken it to, the biggest impact I could have in my corporate role was to make the shareholders happy. It's probably the biggest stakeholder group that are happy when I did my job well. Whereas now I am impacting thousands of women in business. And so that to me is a much bigger outcome, way more fulfillment and satisfaction in doing that than in making a small group of shareholders and the board members happy. Lovely to chat to you today, and I will speak to you next week. Bye.
So if you would like to improve the marketing of your business, then the first place we always start is with your ideal customer avatar. Now, my system for your ideal client is different to most. With my ultimate customer avatar worksheet, there are 35 questions to help you really deep dive into what your ideal client is currently thinking, feeling, and what their goals are, what they're doing in their buying behavior. Go to jessicaosborne.com/customer-avatar to download your free copy of my ultimate customer avatar worksheet today. And let's get started on defining who that ideal client really is.